want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Okay, folks, welcome back again to the Prepared Mind channel. More on World War III. Hasn't started, or has it? All wars start with words. And then everyone's taken by surprise when, I don't know, Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. Everyone was taken by surprise when the Nazis went into Poland. Everyone is all surprised. They act like, well, we didn't see that coming. Well, we saw this coming, folks, from a mile away. Now, I just talked about Russia and Lithuania and Kaliningrad, and we just talked about China and Taiwan. And let's just send more military weapons to Taiwan. That'll stop China. No, it might antagonize them. Now, I'm not a foreign policy expert. I didn't attend war college at West Point, right? I'm not a political scientist, but I do know that I haven't caused any wars. Anyways, Biden has made a trip to Europe at his master's request, right? Biden isn't the mastermind, folks. He's not the man behind the curtain. He's the little man at the toll booth taking the money. Now, he is also the front man that we see at the toll booth, and he's giving us a little story. He has gone to Europe, and he has met with, Erdogan of Turkey, a NATO member, and said, hey, let's stop the trouble that you have caused, right? He's gone to Spain. He's gone around Europe, and now he's going to tell us all about it, right? He's got some final remarks. He's met with NATO leaders, right? And this is what's going on, folks. Biden and the NATO leaders, they held a highly important summit on Thursday. Today's Friday. And it was to respond to the war in Ukraine and what's happened there, and the fact that Ukraine has lost the eastern Ukraine provinces to liberty and freedom. And so NATO leaders have agreed to take new sanctions against Russia and increase the military aid into Europe. In other words, they're arming up, folks. More tension, more pressure, more trouble. The decision ultimately whether to kind of calm down the situation with Russia or to increase the Cold War tensions. Well, apparently they've decided to go all in and create a division, a bifurcated world where there's Russia and China on one side and India on one side, and they'll draw other nations to their side, nations that can't afford or don't want to participate in the United States and European version, right? So, a top person said that the situation is grim. The state of the war. Yeah, it's grim, right? And we're looking forward to Biden speaking about NATO's formal membership and inclusion of Finland and Sweden. And Turkey has dropped its objections. I wonder what that cost. Right? I still think Turkey may flip sides, but I wonder what that cost. How much money, how much weapons, how much payola went to Turkey so they would quit objecting, right, to Finland and Sweden joining NATO, right? Now, the NATO alliance has made some enhancements to NATO's eastern border, right, to the forces over there. That border includes little countries like Estonia and Lithuania, also Poland and the Czech Republic, right? They want to increase the number of high alert troops, right? We've already talked about this, 650% or 300,000 troops, right? And Biden said that he's going to bring rotational troops, U.S. troops into the Baltic states and Romania. I think we just covered the fact that the Army, the U.S. Army, is now willing and accepting soldiers who do not have high school diplomas. So as our economy tanks, and there is less economic prosperity, the poorest amongst us are going to be pulled into the military. Now, to me, this sounds a lot like, let's dispose of the unwashed and unwanted and unneeded if they're, if a World War III scenario plays out even further. This is all very disconcerting, folks. The troubles are getting loud, right? The United States government is also going to send warplanes to the United Kingdom, to England. It's going to send new ships to Spain. And it's going to be establishing a permanent army presence headquartered in Poland for the first time ever. So there is an increase in the United States military buildup, support, supply, and participation in a new European theater of Cold War status. Okay. The NATO mission statement has been updated to read that Russia now poses the, quote, most significant threat to Allied security. And they said that strengthening relations between Kremlin and Beijing runs counter to our values. So now we have the Axis. We have the Allies and the Axis. We'll just use these terms, which were World War II terms. Russia and China runs counter to their values. What are their values, folks? Russia and China don't want to be part of the Western banking system. They don't want to be part of the SWIFT system. In fact, Russia's out. They have been creating their own cross-border payment systems, exchanging rubles for yuan and yuan for rubles, rupees for rubles and rupees for yuan, whatever it takes, right? And by rupees, I'm talking about India. 1.3 billion people in India, 1.4 billion people in China. And then Russia, you're close to 3 billion people just in those three nations. Closing in on half of the world's populations. Pick one side. No, just a few years ago, Trump was trying to communicate and open lines of communication with Russia, Putin, and he was accused of being a Russian stooge. Trump did go visit India at a super soccer stadium, met with Modi, their leader, and the Indian people were very happy. And it looked like we were going to have a very prosperous discussion. The United States and India, again, 1.3 billion people who could have benefited from our technology, the things that we do make here in America. But that all just seems to have fizzled and blown away. And as far as China goes, folks, China is a nuclear weapons nation, as well as India. And obviously, Russia is a superpower there. But China is also becoming a nuclear energy superpower. And they are going to gobble up probably all of the uranium that comes out of Kazakhstan. We've got a lot of issues that are bigger than just Eastern Ukraine. We've got a lot of issues that are bigger than just, spending some more money on the military-industrial complex. We have a surveillance superstate that is emerging with a social construct behind it that wants to demand your obedience and that you surrender your culture, surrender your personality, surrender your humanity, and maybe even your soul to these freaks and weirdos. So we're a lot closer to World War III in Europe, in China. We're a lot closer, folks. We're a lot closer to big, big troubles. They're talking about a recession in America and around the world. I think you and I might see it as a depression. An economic depression is coming because they're taking no steps to prosperity, and the one nation on the planet that has been providing the United States with the standard of living by selling cheap goods to us is China. And they're now basically proclaiming that Beijing, China, is the enemy of the United States for siding and becoming Russia's ally. Now, here's a quote from NATO Secretary Jens Stoltenberg. He wanted less NATO. Now President Putin's getting more NATO on his borders. How do you think that is going to play? Right? That's just putting a turd in the punch bowl. Does Jens Stoltenberg actually think Putin is afraid? See, NATO and the European Union and NATO and the United States are inseparable. One is an economic, shall we say, conglomeration, and the other is a military conglomeration, or if we shall, alliance. And the United States as a government is allied to both of those things. So Russia is taking this very seriously. And all they have to do is sit back and watch the United States and Europe pour a bunch of money into military buildup. And it's going to cost us tremendously. And what security is it going to provide you and me? Well, I don't know. A lot and none. It's going to provide us with a lot more debt and hardships, though. Folks, we're going into some very, very hard times, some very dark times with the potential of World War III. I think and suggest that we should all be prepared up here because chance favors the prepared mind. Go to thepreparedmind.club and get what you need. Sign up at subscribestar.com to support our efforts to continue to bring you the facts and also some opinions with our satirical perspectives. Just seems like dark days with these idiots, you know it? Do the best you can to keep your chin up, keep your faith up, understand good will prevail. And chance does favor the prepared mind. Is yours. God bless America. Semper Fi.